Welcome everyone to Season 6, Episode 0, like you know how we do it here. My name is Peter, this is Chris with me. How you doing, Chris?
Good. I mean, I'm dancing in the diamond rain myself, so what a feeling it is to be here for Season 6.
Season 6 is upon us, and as you know, we are talking the Wraith Shangri-La. But before we get there, just in case anyone's new and you don't know what we do and how we do it, we are the Juggalo Rewind Podcast. We are your favorite Juggalo podcast. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Straight.
Was that from something?
No, I don't know. I just got fired up.
Okay. We're your favorite Juggalo podcast. We deep dive into Juggalo albums one track at a time. And we dissect the lyrics to help you learn and appreciate and remember all the good stuff from yesteryear.
Whether young or old, you'll learn or you'll reminisce. But you're going to enjoy it. You
are going to enjoy it. Whether you're a longtime fan, a brand new fan, not a fan at all. Maybe you fell off. Maybe this Juggalo shit wasn't for you. But for some reason you're back listening to us. Welcome. Check out our...
Maybe one of these blew up on TikTok since we've been recording. And they're like, what song is that from? Let's go find out. So here you are. I'm sure Wraith's got something ready to blow up on TikTok.
I hope so.
Hell's Pit did, so why shouldn't Shangri-La?
Why shouldn't Shangri-La? If you want to check out our past seasons, we have a plethora of episodes in our back catalog. Go back and check those out. And like we said, this season we're talking the almighty 6th Joker's card.
Heavy, big, a lot of mythology in here.
Oh my
Can't wait.
We probably should do this before we get, again, too deep into this. If people are just jumping in, this is probably the time to talk about, very quickly, a little deeper on what we do and how we do it. We already introduced ourselves. We are just two dickhead boomer juggalos from Detroit.
Boomerlos.
Yes, who want to spread your nostalgia. So we bring our nostalgia up. Hopefully it reminds you of yesteryear and brings up the young kids. You never know.
I think this season's going to have a lot of fun memories from us that hopefully spurs memories from folks out there listening. So that's always the goal. Literally
the name of the game is that we're just bullshitting about our past and our stories. No one's any better than anyone else. We've just all had different experiences, and we're here to jog your memory and to bring you down memory road.
Yeah.
Memory road?
Yellow Brick Alley road.
That's a different season. What we are, as we said, we discuss a different CD or album or comic series every season. When are you going to hear us? Every Thursday morning. Except on YouTube. That could be a little different. But every Thursday morning, we will be in your podcast feed, wherever you find your favorite podcast.
The goal is always to loop a little bit behind the pod so I could listen, make my notes, and then get the video up. I fell behind a little bit, but it was a busy football season this year.
So we'll get into that in 2 seconds.
I fell behind.
And then we've already talked about why we want this to be the definitive discussion of albums by two normal people. When did we write that? That's real funny. That's a funny write-up.
By two normal people.
It's for diehards to recall memories, for newer fans who maybe just saw Twisted for the first time at Warped Tour, or maybe just saw ICP on TikTok, like you said.
Yeah, they've been playing a lot of festivals in the summer, so I'm sure folks have got exposed to them at a festival show. That's something to walk in on if you have no connection to ICP or no knowledge of them, and they're just throwing 2 liters of Faygo in the crowd. You're like, what the hell is this show?
You're just going to Riot Fest thinking you're seeing Dropkick Murphys, and then it's like, holy shit, what's going on over there? That's highly possible.
Yeah.
Everyone started somewhere, which is actually really funny. We'll probably talk about this in a future episode here, but in the seminar, when they revealed the Wraith, Jay specifically stopped what he was saying, and he kind of said, this is the feeling like you had when you got brought in. Don't forget that there's people who haven't listened yet.
True, yeah.
And you have to bring them in like someone brought you in. So it's kind of interesting that they said that that fucking long ago, in 2002. And 22
Before
years
the term
later,
gatekeeping was even like tossed around,
yeah,
you know?
20 years later, people are definitely like
Yeah.
gatekeeping, and just the eras are crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get into how time's a motherfucker here in a little bit.
Yeah, we thought the eras through the Joker cards, like, you could have distinct eras in those 6 cards. That window's so small in the scheme of, like,
Oh my
grand
God.
scheme of how long ICP's been doing this, which is wild to
yeah,
think.
it's insane. So let's go to our next subject. Well, let's catch up a little bit
Yeah.
before we get too far into things. It's been a while since season 5. We've been off for a little bit.
Yeah. Took a little maybe longer break because those comics drained us.
Yeah. And just the end of the year,
Yeah.
holidays, football season. So
Big football season.
tell us about Michigan football, Chris.
Well, if you've listened to me, when do you think the season started? During the pendulum or during 1SG?
no, it was during the pendulum.
During the pendulum? Well, if you listen back whatever episode this season, I said this team was a team of destiny. They were going to go 15-0. We have a caller, goes by the name of Denver Chris, likes to call in and poke fun of the Wolverines and how Georgia's an unstoppable beast. Well, look who's the last team standing on top of the heap. 15-0. It was a beautiful ride. I cried multiple times between... I don't think I cried during OSU. I was happy. Cried during the Rose Bowl. Cried during the National Championship. I was so happy. And if you're watching along, we have spoils of victory on the table. It was just a normal Maker's Mark bottle, but it was dipped in maize and blue wax and became a mythical thing throughout our group. Sat there on the shelf.
Mythical, yeah.
Like,
How
kind of like
long-
the 6th. When you count down for the 6th, you're like, when's that actually going to happen? I don't know if that 6th ever going to come out. Well, never thought we'd open this bottle, but we got to open it. And you know what? While we're here, like one of our inspirations, Vinnie Mac, likes to smoke weed on his show with the fans. I'd like to take a little victory shot with everyone out there.
Vinnie Mac.
So if you're out there and you have a little bit of alcoholic beverage around you, a little
Alcoholic
beverage, a little whiskey by you, pour a little short one for
everyone who said they didn't want or they missed Chris drinking last season. We're a couple Coors Lights
whiskeys
deep.
deep and a little victory shot. So 15-0. Did it. Nothing else matters from here on out. So maybe I won't talk about Michigan football as much on the podcast.
Oh
That ain't gonna happen.
no! Now we're going to be talking about Michigan basketball.
We're definitely not talking about that. So, how about you? How you doing?
Same old, same old. Got through the holidays okay. Funny that we got a couple things tied.
Yeah.
While we were off, I was on the Deck One Delt podcast. You didn't listen to that.
It's in the
List
queue.
of things to do. I actually have this T-shirt from them.
Oh, I thought it was a straight bang pow boom shirt. I didn't
No,
fully
this is
read
one
it.
of their shirts. Boomalo.
That's good.
So shout out to them. It's a good episode. Is the New Year's Eve episode.
Yeah.
Because I was down there for New Year's Evil.
You record that right before going to the show, like same
like
day?
that afternoon.
Wow, what a happening!
I know, it was a long day.
Yeah.
It was good. Good show. Good podcast and good show.
Yeah.
From Twisted.
I'm just get on there one time.
You should. Come on down.
Go to Tony Paco's.
It's a little further than Tony Paco's.
Well, that's as far as I'm going, so they have to meet me there.
They do come up here for Michigan activities,
Yeah.
so maybe we'll have to run into them
Yeah,
sometime.
plan something.
Speaking of this shirt, it is one of the first shirts that I've purchased recently, sight unseen, size large.
Look at you.
I have to start checking
Cruise
the
inventory.
Yeah, I need to either like sell or give away my XLs and then purchase larges.
I tell you what, I got to get back on the train. This week I was good. Did yoga all week. Ate better. Football season's over, but fell a little behind through the holiday season.
That's okay. Not everyone's perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect.
That's right.
It's a journey, and you don't have to worry. There's no slipping. There's no whatever. It's just doing what you do.
Yeah.
Also, on that note, brand new pair of pants today. Also a size smaller. Another size
look at
smaller.
that.
So I'm lean and mean.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the name of the game this year is, and we'll get into that. That Jay was getting lean and mean during
True.
this, so we will continue our Rewind Fitness Challenge and everyone get in shape and do what you got to do.
I need to get some new. I lost my wireless headphones, and I have like the little plug-in buds, but I have a new phone and does not have an auxiliary jack anymore.
Oh.
So I have to get myself some new wireless headphones, and maybe I'll do some walks and listen to the Wraith in honor of the season and Violent J's transformation during the era of the 6th.
We may get into that in this episode, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
So yeah, I'm trying to think what else went on during our off season here. Shows, podcasts.
I didn't go to any shows. I was quiet. A lot of football. A lot of eating. A lot of cooking.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, I think that's it. I thought we'd have a lot more to catch up on, but I guess we don't.
We didn't do much.
Fuck it.
You said the show was good? New Year's Evil?
Yeah. It's a little disjointed because I think they like back the songs into midnight.
Yeah.
So like they don't want a song at midnight, you know? So that was like there's a little bit of...
Did they do a countdown there?
Yeah, they had it on the TV.
Okay. I wish they were doing it like they're hosts or something.
Like drop Matt Nips from the ceiling.
Do something goofy with it.
Yeah, they just put on the TV and
yeah.
whatever. Then they played a couple songs after that. So.
Okay.
That is tough to do, but I mean that's the nature.
Yeah, I think that's a hard one to do, especially shows are usually over, by midnight or a little bit after midnight. Yeah. So like to have like this big thing happen, and then you're like, all right, everyone's gotta go home now. Like that's kind of weird.
They may have played like 2 songs after that.
Yeah,
but it was a good mix. Like for being on the nostalgia train that everyone's accusing everyone of doing lately. Like they did a good mix of that era up to. Maybe Wicked. Maybe they did 1 or 2 songs from there.
I mean, that's still way back in the tank.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's not like they're doing anything off the newest ones, but no, it was a good set list. So everyone looked like they're having a good time. If you go to our Instagram, I think there's still some videos up there for that. Drive By open. They did good. Boondocks did good.
You love you some Booney.
So it was well worth it. Well worth the trip.
Yeah.
Hung out with Pittsburgh Steve and his girlfriend. Hung out with Bobby. Hung out with... Did I see anyone else there?
Reggie make the trip? Did you spot him?
I did not see Reggie. Deck One Delt was in the house.
Okay.
There was some other listeners there. Like,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, there were some people.
Nice.
Who were 2 or 3 people came up to me and they're like, are you from Indianapolis? And I'm like, no. And it's like, oh, you look just... I'm like, oh, fuck.
You look like an Indianapolis.
I hate that. That always happens.
You look like you're from Indianapolis and you sound like you're 400 pounds.
That's what I think it was 600 pounds.
600 pounds.
Son of a bitch. And then I'm sure we'll talk about it, but we have lots of stuff coming up in the Juggalo future too. So.
Yeah, we're almost on the road to Astronomicon.
Lots of nonsense to come in the future. But
that's not what we're here for right now.
The nonsense we're here for is the Wraith. And episode 0 is generally where we go over kind of the lead up to the season. Yeah. And it's just a little test run of what we got going on, knock off the rust.
Get everyone a feel for what we do here.
So where do you want to start? Do you want to go with the timeline, or do you want me to go with the different... I guess timeline does work, because then everything else is like actually what came out. Yeah. Right? So
do we need a brief overview of what the Joker cards are, you think?
Holy
is anyone
fuck.
Here who doesn't know why the 6th is the 6th?
I mean, that's a very good call. I wouldn't have even thought of that, but yeah, sure, maybe. Do you want to spearhead that? Or
no, you lead. I sprinkle.
Okay.
I like to throw something in your lap and then walk away.
Very long story short, ICP came out with Carnival of Carnage in 92.
Yeah, this isn't a Carnival card season.
Yeah, no, late 91, early 92. That was if they didn't know it at the time, it quickly turned into the first of a deck of 6 Joker card albums that were loosely tied together in a loose-fitting theme.
Yeah. It definitely picked up steam, maybe Riddlebox on, like the theme, more so than those first 2.
Yeah, very much like the Undertaker's streak.
Yeah, you kind of happily fell into it.
You didn't realize it was happening until it was like actually happening. Like, now I'm trying to think. Now we're idiots because we don't know this.
We didn't do the background on this part.
On the inside of Carnival of Carnage, does it straight up say it's 1 of 6, or does
the reissue does? I don't remember if the OG version does.
or if they just sprinkle into. Yeah, that's whatever.
We'll get to that when we get to Carnival Cards. God damn it!
But the idea behind the Joker cards is that each one had its own unique, obviously, picture and story and lore, and so, man, I don't even know when we're going to get into this. Probably at the very, very end here of the season, but it led up to, they were always like, what's going to happen after 6? Are we going to do another 6? Are we going to quit? Is everyone going to drink the Kool-Aid like fucking Jonestown? Like, what is going to happen after the end of this story? So for 10 years, people were looking forward to the last chapter of the Joker card story. So
yeah, because at some point it says in the booklets, the end of time will consume us all. So then
that was the big.
It became a mythical thing where everyone made up their stories of what it is like. Are they prophets? Is ICP going to kill themselves? That was always one that was tossed around, like especially pre-internet days, like or early internet days, where you don't have a lot of like pre-social media for sure. You're coming up with these theories and tossing around the playground, as you'd say, like word of mouth. And I feel like the
word of mouth.
I feel like are they going to kill themselves?
Water cooler talk amongst the Juggalos.
Fago cooler talk. I feel like the ICP might kill themselves at the end of the Joker cards. Always like the rumor that
was the Garden City high school rumor.
For sure. Quick overview of the Carnival Cards original tape. I don't see it, but it could be buried in the fine print if it is. But nonetheless,
fine print. I would think it would be inside the spine.
Yeah. Nonetheless, like you said, I think if they more happily fell into it, that'd be more of a question for them they'll never answer.
Yeah, or they knew it was coming, but they just didn't put it like in the
front and center. Yeah.
So there you have it. It was a 6-chapter series, and we are on the 6th almighty card. People were waiting for this for 10 years.
The hype leading into this, I mean, we'll get to it, I think, as we talk through the timeline, what's happening. The hype leading into this was astronomical. In the Juggalo circle, at least in my eyes.
That reminds me, I need to tell you something, but we can't do it here. Yeah, and it's kind of funny because it's so... Again, we talked about this earlier, about how my memory is so good about some stuff and so bad about others. I know there was hype around this for everyone, but I don't remember like my personal hype. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, it's coming. But maybe it's because I was like a little older that I'm like, fuck, whatever, it's gonna happen. Like I don't know. It's strange that I understand the hype and I know it was there, but like I can't. If we asked everyone to call in with like, hey, what were your feelings leading up to it? Mm-hmm. I knew it was a big deal. I knew I wanted the next CD, but I wasn't like, what's going to happen next? I don't know. I just didn't have that.
I was, I'm trying to think when that hype like kicked in, because like Jekyll comes out and like, okay, that's the last one before.
Jekyll drop ball.
But I don't remember like that being on, like, oh, I can't wait to hear this next one. Like when that, I think when they started mentioning like leading up to it, and like, oh, we're about to like make it. That's when the hype rolled. And it was like maybe a year of it that hype built, at least for me personally, thinking about it. And then when the fucking seminar happened, I was like full blown. This, I can't wait to see what the hell this is. I was fully engaged.
Of course you were. So yeah, that's the story of the 6 Joker cards.
Yes. Just a little backstory, in case, someone...
That's fair. We've done a Juggalo podcast for 2 years.
Never touched a Joker's card.
So we might as well talk about what a Joker's card is.
I mean, you wonder... We've mentioned TikTok blowing them up for, like, younger kids. Do you think there's some... I mean, there's got to be some young kids who like them and have no idea of this
100%
Joker card series.
It's not in me, because when I like something, I feel like I need to go study all of it. Like, I'm not just going to go watch, I don't know, one random episode of The Twilight Zone and just be done with it. Like, oh, now I got to go to the first season and watch them all.
Yeah.
Like a podcast, I have to listen to them all. I can't imagine listening to maybe I do it though. So maybe it just comes with age, or it just depends on.
Like it's hard because other artists, you could listen to them in one album, and like there's not this like big mythology they built behind, and like there's a second deck now, but like it doesn't have the same. I mean, maybe it does for people. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like they even put in the hype train behind those as they did from like I said, Riddlebox to this. It felt like they really pushed that story. Yeah, it's interesting. I would love to talk to younger Juggalos about this.
What they know about,
or just what they even like think about it. Is it just albums to them?
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Is it just albums to you now?
No, it still has a little bit in there.
Really?
I mean, it's not like it was, but it still brings a little bit.
Were you like, wow, Yum Yum is the fifth coming out? Like, I can't believe it's the fifth one.
Yum Yum might be the sixth because I was loving it. It's got that Diamond Rain vibes to it to me.
I'm just saying, I don't think you were counting down.
No, modern ones, no. But I'm saying, looking back at these 6, I still get that like nostalgia vibe of like, oh man, these were those 6 ones that told this story that I was so heavily invested in.
Yes. All right. So that's the 6 Joker cards.
That is. Hope you liked it. We'll see you next week.
So, what do you want to touch on next? Leading up to it?
Yeah, should we discuss them getting ready to get into the 6th?
Sure. Is this your timeline here?
Yeah, this is a vague timeline. I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but this is my kind of the kickoff, I'd say, to the Wraith era.
Yes, you're right. This is to the era. There may be specific things in there that maybe we'll sprinkle in or we'll talk about at a later time, but this is a very brief overview of the time frame of which we're talking.
And I start this off with Hatchet Rising because I think they themselves called it the era of the 6 Jokers cards, starting with this, because on that tour they dropped the silhouette after ICP set of the 6, the outline of the artwork. So it wasn't the artwork as you see it now, it was just a silhouette backdrop. And I remember when that tour went on, they're like, do not bring cameras, do not share it. And this is pre-Jack White, like the little lockbox of your phone. Well, they didn't have phones back then.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, they were like, they didn't crack down on it, but they definitely were like pushing, like, hey, do not take pictures, do not share this. Let everyone experience this as the tour rolls into their town.
Yeah, and now, God, it's so funny to think about that era. Like, it was hard to get cameras in regardless.
Yeah, the little, like, twist one.
Yeah, or the disposable boys.
Yeah.
But, like, were they even harder in this tour? I really feel like they were trying to get you not to, like you said.
Yeah, they pushed it, but I don't think they had people in the crowd like grabbing their cameras or nothing. They just kind of frowned upon.
Yeah,
more like have the Juggalos police themselves, because people were like, "Hey, don't you fucking take that picture."
Yeah, because that really works.
But I went to the Hatchet Rising tour.
You say Juggalos policing themselves. I say letting the inmates run the asylum. This is a good start to the season.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Like, that was God, I can't believe that was the first. Did the first show of that tour, that was the first time that happened?
Yeah, so that's 9/28/2001 is when that tour kicked off. So we went to Hallowicked a month later. I can't remember if I seen it online, like, because I know it showed up online. I don't know if I seen it before we went. I can't recall.
Neither do I. But I also don't remember seeing it at Halloween.
I do remember seeing it.
Of course you do. It's burned in your brain.
I remember I was super close, and I could see it, like, hanging. So maybe I did see it for the first time. Because I remember, like, trying to look and peek what it is.
Trying to cheat. Trying to cheat the system.
We'll get to how I didn't cheat, and you did cheat when we come to this.
I 100%. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I 100% cheated.
But anyways, yeah. That was the kickoff to the Wraith era. Each Joker's card has their era. We try to decide when it starts and stops. Well, Jay himself online said the kickoff for the Wraith is the Hatchet Rising tour. So they showed the outline, but they never said the name until what we're gonna get to. That's weird that they went 9 months without saying the name. It was just God, that doesn't seem right. But it has to be. But that seems weird. Yeah, because that's when they first said it, right? Yeah, you're right. Well, that was in September. The tour kicked off, rolled through a few months. We've seen in Detroit for Hallowicked. Which,
if you go back in our archive, we've touched on in different episodes. We've talked about this particular era, Halloween 2001, in the Blaze season, in the Pendulum season, and in our Hallowicked mini season. So lots of coverage.
Yeah, if you want to know everything about Hallowicked 2001, multiple stops for sure. That those 3 episodes of the single.
We literally didn't talk about the Wraith.
We had ideas for seasons. We said we'll save that for the 6th.
No, we didn't. I see what you did there. I understand.
Actually, I said it rolled around for months. It only was a 2-month tour. It was September, October, into November, the very beginning. So that tour kicks off, and then to start the year 2022, the year of the Wraith. That's what we call it.
The year of the Wraith.
ICP.
The year of the rat, the year of the fucking whatever. It was the year of the Wraith.
Yeah, the year of the Wraith 2022. 2002. So, who would have thought we'd find out that ICP would go into hiding on local Detroit sports talk radio show, Parker and the Man. Come on, as Rob Parker says.
Come on, Stoney.
So they were on the Parker and the Man show. On
Rob Parker and Mark Wilson.
Yeah. They were on local Detroit sports radio discussing, we've talked about this in the Pendulum season 100%, the benefit show for Hamtramck teacher, big time wrestling ran by Rude Boy. So they're on the show promoting that, and as they were promoting, they said this will be our last public appearance at this wrestling show. After that, we're going to go into hiding and record the 6th. I can't imagine Rob Parker had any fucking idea what these two clowns are talking about, but they announced on this local sports talk show that's when they're going to go into hiding. So a little funny note that I found.
Can't believe that was like the only place that they mentioned it, but it is funny that they mentioned it there.
They do post it on their website, but that's where they first because the post on InsaneClownPosse.com references the Parker and the Man show as that they announced it the next day.
If anyone doesn't know, all of the controversies around Rob Parker, local sports columnist and radio personality.
He's like a national personality now, which is crazy.
He's bounced around, yeah. In 2004, he wrote a column that called Hank Aaron a Coward. He reported incorrectly about the Michigan State fight with the hockey team versus the football team. He asked Rod Marinelli a shitty question and got talked down. Because Marinelli's son-in-law was the defensive coordinator.
Pulled up Brian Ferentz.
And he said, do you wish that your daughter had married a better defensive coordinator?
That's fantastic.
And then he resigned shortly after that. And then it looks like he had some comments about Robert RG3.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him, I don't watch much national, ESPN stuff, but I feel like I've seen him pop up here and there on those things.
Yeah, he had a... Wow. He was not shocking, but he definitely, at a certain point, would just say random shit and get in trouble all the time.
I feel like it's the era, too, for that, for everything. Just to be push buttons, push the envelope, as they say.
He co-owned a barber shop on 7 Mile.
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Well, if Jalen Rose went and got his haircut there. Can't get a fade every day, as he said in the Fab 5 documentary.
Okay, well, that's our...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when they disappeared, beginning of January, and then...
Do we want to talk about how he says it in the book? Or are we talking about the book somewhere else?
Yeah, we could talk about that here, because he does bring it up, right?
Yeah, so if you just want me to go off of what I remember.
Yeah.
After the tour of the Hatchet Rising, or the Hatchet Rising tour,
Hatchet Rising,
we, as Jay says in his book, him and Shaggy literally went to the office one day, and Alex and Billy kind of sat him down, and they were like, "So, what are we doing with the 6th?" And him and Shaggy were like, "I don't know." If you listen to it on the audiobook, he kind of dances around the kayfabe of the fucking Dark Carnival didn't give it to us.
Told us, yeah.
So he's like, we didn't really have anything. We were just running on fumes, and we just had nothing, no ideas.
Yeah.
And Alex came up with the idea of you guys are going to just get out of the limelight, go into hiding. Mm-hmm. That's going to be our story, and that's when you're going to record the 6th.
Yeah.
But really, it was them getting their fucking ideas straight. So.
I mean, last season, the Pendulum, we ran through everything leading up to that year, this year, 2022 or 2002, and we were going through all those episodes. month by month. Like, man, they were doing a lot of shit. Like, there was 2 tours during that, multiple like albums and singles and the comic book itself and all these things. So yeah, they were. I could see them being run down by the time they got to like this. And Jay is, as we'll get to it, is like health is a mess at that point. He's overweight and whatnot. So yeah, I could see that being the real case. I don't think in the actual book he gets into that like conversation. I think that was just one of the audio tangents, because I don't even have a note for that.
Yeah, it was just funny how he mentioned that. Yeah, like, you need to not get your shit straight, but that was just his clearing up.
Yeah,
and then it went into his health, which I don't know. Dive into
that. Yeah, on the book he discusses how he said he was sitting there on the couch eating one of his favorite cheese bowl things or whatever he makes.
It was like sour cream and something else, and I'm like, what?
Which I think on one of those like Patreon shows during COVID, I feel like he made that. I don't know if it's the same thing, but he made some fat like food thing like that.
Yeah, that was like the very first episode was the kitchen.
Yeah, he mentioned he was sitting in his couch and he stood up and like went to the bathroom and like got a glimpse of himself in the mirror and was like, this isn't who I was, whatever. And then he just said he just started walking, running, like seeing how far he could push himself. And then as we'll get to, discussing the Wraith, that became his thing through all the recordings. He'd put on the headphones and listen to the masters and just keep walking and walking. So, yeah, we'll get to that, I'm sure, down the line. The getting in shape, and then when he appears and everyone's like, holy shit, who is this guy?
Definitely a different character, for sure.
On the train of Alex telling them to sit down, on 121 on ISP.com, they have a cryptic post that says Jay drops off a letter inside of Psychopathic Studios, and I'll try to read it here. It's hard to read his handwriting. But he says, "We have officially begun recording the 6 Jokers card. I can assure you that this record will be nothing that you've expected."
I can assure you that they were not recording it at that point.
Well, it was early
I guess it could have been
January.
A couple months.
They might have been writing it, They weren't recording, probably. Or getting the ideas on paper. He says, "We will not let one Juggalo down, not one. We cover all grounds, all feelings, all anger. The 6 will take you from the carnival to Jekyll. We'll also cover all new sounds by ICP." And then this was the big news out of this. Mikey Clark will have absolutely nothing at all to do with the 6 Jokers card. I'm sorry to announce this. I can't
believe that they brought that up at this point. Yeah. That's strange to me.
He says, "The reasons are many. We feel that Mike Clark has somewhat grown apart from what ICP is. He is still our homie and that will never change. But as for making music together, the future is uncertain. A large collaboration of producers are being used in the 6, but mainly Mike Peasy is making most of the music along with me and Shaggy." And then that's all I have, because page 2 of this letter disappears. But
what a historian.
That's when, if anyone has the second page, pass it along. We'll update it in the liner notes at the end. That's another thing, when you follow us all to the end, you'll get to fixes. So maybe we have a whole season to find page 2. But the big news out of that is Mike Clark is not going to record the 6th. If you follow along to the 5 Joker cards, he is basically member 3 of the Insane Clown Posse when it comes to the Joker cards. I can get into. I have a few quotes here from Mike Clark and Alex Abyss discussing it, if you'd like.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So Mike Clark was online asking about, or Mike Clark, Alex Abyss was on ISP.com getting asked about the 6th and why Mike Clark is not on it. And he says, there is one reason Mike Clark is not working on the 6 Joker card. Mike Clark decided not to work on the 6 Jokers card. There are many possibilities why Mike Clark might have decided not to. One possible theory is Mike won't be on the 6 is a lawsuit that Mike has had with Island Records over royalties. And he says ISP and Psychopathic have nothing to do with this. It's strictly high-level business between Mike and Island. Another possible reason is Mike just be tired of working on ICP stuff and wants to work on something new and different. Maybe the stress and player hatred of working with the world's most hated band is too much for him.
So then he goes to work with fucking Kid Rock.
Well, at that time, he was just a fun-loving guy.
No, I know.
Then he says, maybe the Dark Carnival stuff, especially now that the 6 Jokers card has gotten too spooky. Regardless.
There we go.
ICP and Mikey Clark had a long talk and decided that they are homies and always will be, but it just wouldn't work on music together. Then he says, if Mike changes his mind and wants to work on the 6 Jokers card, you can bet that ICP was super quick to bring him in the studio, but until then, ICP and Psychopath respect his choice. Wish him the best in his future endeavors.
No, he didn't say that.
He said wish him best in whatever he does.
If he wants to come back and do a remix of both albums, we'll bring him in.
But it's interesting that he says it could be high-level stuff between him and Island. Super random.
Yeah.
thing.
I don't remember that being a thing at all.
I think it's too spooky for Mike Clark.
That's probably more of... Now... Oh, fuck. Let's recap.
Yeah.
Let's go backwards.
Okay.
So we're talking, this is... We'll call it January of 2002. He decided not to work on the 6 Jokers card. Why did he stop working on Dark Lotus half a year before this?
Right.
So there was some crack in the armor 6-9 months ago.
Yeah.
He didn't just stop working on the biggest psychopathic album of all time.
Right.
They had to pick it up, and then they're like, maybe he'll work on the 6.
Yeah.
Like,
it feels... It's just me speculating, hearsay, I don't know anything about this. Feels like Jay was enjoying Mike P's sound and just wanted Mike P's sound for the 6. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I just wonder what caused, Mike Clark to stop at the beginning from Lotus.
Right.
Maybe that's when he got scared.
I mean, maybe he did the seance. It was like, this shit's fucking for real.
Yeah.
I got crows pecking on my car window. I'm out of here. Maybe that's what happened.
That's highly possible. I'd go with that. You're right.
Most likely scenario. So, one more little point here. We have Mike Clark's rebuttal on why he wasn't on the 6.
Where was this from?
Mike Clark's website.
Okay.
Back in... I think this might have been after the 6. I don't have the timestamp of this, but this was him just clearing up his side of the story. He says, okay, let me clear this up one bit. Even though I hate talking about psychopathic shit on the B4 record site. But anyway, first of all, I did get rid of most of my ICP stuff. Didn't have room for it. However, I still have the wall and the funhouse door. Stay tuned. I don't know what that means.
There was a door that they either like...
From the basement where they recorded?
Yeah.
I just didn't go, no, I said stay tuned. Like, is he even busted out?
Sold it? Or?
Yeah. But he says... Oh, he said maybe going for sale. Should have continued reading.
Good job.
Anyways, he goes, now I did tell Jay I want to do the 6, all of the 6, or nothing, because I didn't like the way Dark Lotus came out. I had no control over that record. And I didn't want this to happen to what I thought would be the most important record, the 6th. That, unfortunately, was the last time I talked to Jay. I guess they had half the record already done with Mike P. Finally, I just said I couldn't do it. So as far as Hell's Pit is concerned, I don't know shit about that record. Is that supposed to be the 6 part 2? All in all, I wish they would have just left the ICP stuff to me and let Mike P do all the other stuff. Oh well, that's just my opinion.
All right. Didn't Mike P tell us that Mike Clark said that he's glad that it was him? Like he wouldn't have trusted it to anyone else?
I think he said, if anyone was going to do it,
he alluded to that.
I thought that's what he said.
So that's nice.
Go back and listen.
Yeah, those two don't have like a problem with each other.
Wasn't he saying that they're cool now and like?
I thought so. Yeah.
And like,
I mean, that was 20 years ago, so you would hope.
Yeah, I think they're all kind of in the mix now. I could see that being the case. So like, Jay wanted other sounds and had some recorded with Mike P and thought he'd have Clark too. Because on that letter he says a whole host of producers, which I think it's just basically Mike P producing the entire album.
The whole thing is just the 3 of them.
I know they have like, we'll go through when we get to the songs, other people mastering and things of that nature, but
not like straight
making
up.
the music itself. Yeah, it's Mike P. So maybe the original plan was to have a multitude of people, and Mike Clark being one, and Mike Clark just didn't want to. You did the 5 before that, so I could see why you'd want to do the 6th.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the story between those two up until this point.
Excellent.
Yes, that's why I'm a Juggalo historian.
So where's page 2?
I'm working on it. I'm digging.
I want to see you get the microfiche at the library, or the thing on the stick. You're reading the Metro Times on the stick.
Every sweet FBI when they're in the dark library scanning through the old newspapers. Yeah. I found it.
Or just have the big screen where they're moving shit around like it's the futuristic, and it's like that shit ain't happening.
Maybe I'll reach out to Jumpsteady or Alex Biss. Maybe they have it in the archive still.
They're probably very busy.
Right next to that letter. Right next to that letter from Riders announcing that Red Dirt Day is coming out.
That's what that reminded me
of. That's 100% the same thing.
Jesus. A lot of dropping off letters.
It's pre-email. No, it wasn't.
It was definitely not pre-email.
So we have a huge jump here in my little timeline of what was going on. They're in hiding, so we don't see them. Jay in his book, though, kind of during this time, the Mirror Mirror tour is going on. And Jay in the book mentions how he enjoyed that he could go in hiding and hang out on the bus with Twisted and watch from afar of basically saying like, oh, they followed us, now they're on tour and they're taking Blaze with them and doing that. So that was kind of cool hearing them talk about that experience of like, oh shit, I could just hang out on tour and watch like these guys who are on the label doing the same thing we used to do.
And a lot of that from the book was also him talking about the recording, the walking, the friendships. Like, it's not specific to the album, but there's a gap there.
We'll get more into the recording. On 6/12, 2002, ICP.com announced that ICP will return from hiding, and their first appearance will be at the seminar at the gathering. They'll answer all questions regarding the 6th. And so they're like, who's going to be on it? They go, all these amazing guests on it. And I do remember that, thinking like, oh, they're going to have all these, like, it's going to be Bone Thugs. And then when they announce it, it's just the Psychopathic Artists, which makes sense. It's your big 6. But they kind of hyped that there was going to be all these artists on it.
And there's not.
And they also mentioned their new look that everyone's talking about. And I'm like, who was all talking about this new look outside of you, like, kind of playing the Easter egg that there's going to be a new look? Yeah. But I thought that was just funny. 2 little notes in their post.
They tend to do that. Whatever. Don't get me started.
And then, the next.
When, man, we need to save this for like a future episode. When was the seminar?
7/19/2002. So it was the Friday.
So it legitimately was the first thing that they did.
That was their first appearance. Because then they performed as Lotus that night. So their very first appearance on the grounds is...
It's crazy that they had a big seminar like that early on.
Usually it makes sense, though, because you're going to be gone all, in hiding that whole weekend.
But usually, like, your main event is late. Like,
that's what I was trying to figure out. I thought I was reading that there was a second seminar. I don't remember that, though. I don't think there was.
There's always, like... maybe I'm getting 01.
That's like later ones, though, like mystery ones.
Yep. Later one, it was 02.
I was saying the later ones had the mystery ones, right? Like
there was a mystery one where it was Shaggy, like, without his face paint.
Okay.
I thought it was with him and his brother, actually.
I feel like I remember that, too, now you say that.
But I think that was 02. Maybe that was 01. Like, it's weird that usually you main event your mystery seminar, your big ICPs, whatever, at the end. Mm-hmm. I understand, obviously, why this was first. Yeah. But, that's just a strange
Maybe they just flopped it and put Twisted on that day, because Twisted was still, big at that time. So
they had something like they had the one without the face paint. Did you go to the one with me for Sabu?
That's a scary story for us. Me and Steve went because our buddy Chris was at the pool.
Oh yeah,
and he was like, "Where is he?" Well, we just left. He came back and he was reading a book in the dark. Scary as hell.
I forgot about that. Yeah. I forgot what year that was.
I don't know why we didn't just walk to the pool and be like, "Hey, we're gonna go." We just left.
Was it him or was that Vampiro?
That was the Sabu one. Because we specifically asked him about the bootleg tape we have where someone pulls off his turban, he jumps the guardrail and just beats the piss out of him. And he laughed and talked about that, which was awesome.
Yeah, I was definitely at a seminar with him. So that had to be it.
Yeah.
Sanchez, listen to this. I didn't leave you behind.
I'm sorry, Sanchez. I love you.
All right.
That was my last point, though, was 7/19 was the seminar where they debut the new face paint, they reveal the artwork, they explain, their whole mythology. We'll get to that down the line, but that's my general timeline leading into the recording. And we'll get into, I guess we could just jump into the recording, some of the stuff that he mentions in the book if you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you have it.
Yeah.
Unless it's song specific. And
no, these are just notes. So he mentions it was recorded in 4 locations.
Let me do them. If I remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Is Dallas?
Yep.
Nashville?
Yep.
Vegas?
Yep.
Are we counting the Lotus Pod?
Yeah, and Detroit.
Hell man.
Nailed them all. So I made just little bullets for each, just little tidbits that I thought would...
Little cell blocks?
Give a little
photos?
Give a little background to the recording system. In Dallas, he mentioned they stayed at a dumpy Budget Inn Suites. That was a walking distance from the recording studio. And with them, they, them, the Dark Cartel in general. Sin, Mike P, Lil Pig, Sabu, and Matt Lethal were hanging out for those recording sessions.
Who's Matt Lethal?
That I don't know.
Neither do I.
Sounds like a wrestler.
I feel like he was like a UFC fighter.
Really?
Like he was maybe not real UFC.
Just a cage fighter?
Yeah, that kind of rings a bell.
Well, while they were in Dallas, he talked about how it was cool that they're in the hiding still because Sabu wrestled Shaggy under a mask at a local show. And I'm like, I wonder if that any footage or...
There's no way.
Yeah.
Not in that era.
That's funny that he just popped up and wrestled him at a random local show.
Did he talk in the I'm sorry. Are you skipping out of Dallas yet, or are you?
No,
done?
there's just a couple more notes in Dallas.
Sorry. I'll add on.
Yeah, if you need to add.
Sorry.
He mentions how in Dallas they had motorized scooters and they cruised Dallas all night. The crew. Like, could you imagine seeing all those apps? Sabu on a little motorized scooter.
You're all taking the tour of like where Kennedy's thing, the motorcade was, and you're like, Jesus Christ, who's this? Fuck.
The one other note from Dallas is, and we'll share the photo of this because that was in the book, I believe. The tree they all hung out and smoked weed under in between recording. There's a giant, massive tree. He said it was like the aura they'd hang under this big tree that was in the middle of this all concrete, and they'd all hang out. And there's a picture of everyone like. Yeah, hanging from the tree and stuff.
There are some cool pictures in the book.
Yeah,
from that era.
Are those the notes from Dallas? Do you have anything else on Dallas?
From Dally. I really thought there was, but maybe we save that until the actual song.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have anything song specific. I kept those separate for...
Okay. Yeah, there's a song specific one about a lyric.
Yeah. So, I saved that for... I know what you're talking about. We're on the same wavelength.
All right. We usually are not. As evident by everything we talked about today, we were not, so...
Vegas. Only a couple notes here. He mentions that they were greeted with a welcome to Vegas box in the studio that was full of 3 different kinds of finest Cali weed.
Yes, I remember that. Like
pure, we haven't discussed that. This is just pure Jay is stoned all day, every day era.
So he does mention that this is right around the time Blaze got him to smoke for the first time, and then it was just game on.
God, we'll have to share some of the Purple Show highlights of them like recording the Homies video and stuff. We'll get to that when we get to Homies because there's a ton of like 6th footage on the Purple Show. He mentioned that he would walk Vegas at night. He said he found an abandoned neighborhood around the airport that like they bought out to like, have the planes, and he just said he'd walk up and down these dark streets. I mean, how'd you get in there? Hop the fence or something?
I always, when he started telling that story, I thought it was the, what's like the graveyard of the old like Vegas signs? Yeah. I thought that's what it was. Then it was like neighborhood.
Yeah, it was like a straight neighborhood they bought out and was gutted.
Like one of those movies that's like a Twilight Zone where it's just fucking empty.
It's like where they test a nuclear bomb.
It's like so weird. That's not where I thought he was going with that story.
Nashville. He said Legs Diamond joined the crew when they hit Nashville to lay down some vocals on obviously we'll get to him in there. He said when they would leave the hotel, they'd walk the train tracks to the studio every day and drink fresh spring water out of the mountains, which is such a funny note.
That's funny when you say that because I thought that would have been Colorado, which is why I can't believe it, because I know they recorded Bizarre Bazaar in Denver, right? So like when I was listening to that, I'm like, oh, they're in Denver. Yeah. But now that you just said that, I guess it depends on where
it's the Rocky Mountains, yeah.
It's not the Rocky Mountains, you dickhead.
Not Rocky Mountains, the Smoky Mountains.
Is that even the Smoky? That's not the Appalachian?
No, Appalachian goes in the
Smoky.
This isn't a fucking mountain range podcast. What do you want from me?
This isn't a geography podcast.
But the Smokies are in Nashville.
Yeah, okay.
And then the other note from Nashville is while he was walking, listening to some of the Masters, he got a phone call from Esham, and they squashed their beef, long-standing beef, on and off always. And they decided that instead of being 2 separate lanes in the underground, let's combine our forces. And that's when Esham decided to join Psychopathic, which doesn't get announced till the gathering, because I remember marking out hard. I was walking the concourse and Esham was there, and I was like, "Are you signing the Psychopathic?" Like I'm fucking Mark. And he just laughed and nodded. And I was like, "Esham said he's signing."
Then you're like, "Here's my flyer. You come be on our CD."
We still haven't shared that yet.
Do you know who Nightcrawler is? Yeah, they talk about that in the audio thing too. Yeah, about how. They had it all agreed upon, but it wasn't announced until because I remember that was a big deal too when he showed up on stage. He had the real life jacket on.
I think I asked him when I was talking to him at the concourse where I could get one of those.
You would ask him that today if you saw him.
I still need a real life product shirt.
One day.
I want that old thing back.
Okay. Anyways,
that's the notes I have from the recording sessions.
All right.
Yes.
Well, that's a lot of good stuff. And there are some other song tidbits. There's at least 2 that I know of that we will talk about when we get to said song, which one is coming up pretty soon, I think. So, other stuff that we can talk about leading into the 6th. I'm going to go physical stuff. Usually we save this until the end like a wrap up of merch, and maybe we'll get into more specifics then. But I also think we're going to talk about specifics on each song.
Yeah.
So still, I think it's not a bad idea to like kind of jump in here with some of it, just to show the lead up to it, because we've never had samplers per se. We've had singles. We had the Lotus was like the 2001. So
and everything we've covered is like before. It's just an overabundance of items, and even the no Joker. I mean, Malenko had kind of a lot of singles stuff, but like the Wraith is really like, man, there is a lot going on with this.
It's funny that you say that. Where did I started writing. No, I was physically writing this down. It's in my notebook. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of wrong. You're forgetting a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll save that. But I went down that same path. But in the thought process of the lead up to this, there's also a physical lead up to it. So we'll just briefly get into all this shit here. They did, after the gathering, they must have done a little in-store tour, which... Yeah, they did that weird... God, we didn't even talk about that. I don't know when that came to be. They did a full in-store tour where they, like, had the whole, like, the truck.
Oh,
and
yeah,
you,
the
like,
big
you jumped in
semi.
and you had to, like, fly through it. And like,
did you go to that? I never went to that.
Was that here?
I don't remember it being here. I would have went, I would have thought.
Me too. I couldn't have been here or we would have gone. I know there was one in Dallas because our boy Rhino went.
It probably was, like you said, Dallas, Denver, like that side of the country.
Yeah, I don't recall it being here. But
now that you mention, I remember that being a thing at that era.
Ton of pictures. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode. Well, already
that
have.
semi is cool.
Yeah. I can picture just like them, like not with that weird paint, but with like the updated one. But Jay was blue and Shaggy was red.
Yeah, that's like. I don't know if you call it the definitive Wraith makeup.
More so than it was at the fucking seminar. Where it was like the weird pointy shit. This is like a more...
That was the test run.
This was like a full normal version, but just different colors.
Got the stand up in the back room there of it.
Creepy boy.
My dog used to bark at it.
I would too. So yeah, on this tour, on the in-store tour, from what I gathered, there was a Wraith sampler / Psychopathic sampler 2002 given away first at the LA in-store in August of 2002.
Okay.
This sampler included an intro, which I don't know what the intro is. I just found intro. But maybe we'll find that for a future episode. Clips from different songs and their history, including House of Horrors, Terrible, If, Bring It On, Ned and Game, Piggy Pie, and My Axe.
I always love these type of things. I'm so curious why they pick these songs. Some of them seem so random, doesn't it?
Yeah, and those all kind of get mixed in later ones too. So yeah, there must be some reason for those specifically. And then We Will Never Die Alone, which was labeled We Will Never Die Alone.
Okay.
Actually, I shouldn't say labeled. I really think it was just a singular CD. I don't even think it had like a case.
Nothing.
It was just a fucking blue CD.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's like official.
Yeah, that may have just been labeled in the retro fit with that title.
Well, when we get to the merch, we could dive in a little deeper on those things.
Deeper. And then, so that was in August of 2002. In September of 2002, the street team finally started putting out the real sixth sampler.
Yeah.
So this had Simple and Blunt. It had the Knock to This remix. So it was just, again, it's just a bunch of songs mixed up. It had the Juggalo chant, which was what We Will Never Die Alone became.
I got all the carry on.
And then it had a 22-minute version of the Seminar from The Gathering 2002.
Yeah, I'm sure I listened to it back in the day, but I don't remember it was clipped like that. That's so interesting.
Yeah, I'm
condensed it.
Almost positive it's only like 22 minutes.
Yeah, makes sense to fit on a little CD.
Yeah. And then we are talking a multitude of singles, and we won't even get into all of them, but there are multiple Homies singles.
Yeah.
There's a Crossing the Bridge single. There's a 3-song snippet sampler that came out before all of those that had 3 songs that we will talk about because there's some notes in there that we don't want to spoil. Yeah. We'll save that. There's a 12-inch single.
Yeah.
Lots of singles promoting the album as it came out, trying to get that radio play, as I say. And then when the CD finally came out, there were 2 versions of the Wraith Shangri-La. One, the audio was the same, but one had the 2002 concert DVD, and one had the 2002 seminar DVD.
And you didn't know, right? It was blind.
No, you had to have known.
Does it say on the package? I don't remember.
I bet it's on the sticker.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
We'll get to that later down the road.
And then with all these singles and with the Wraith CD, there's Australian versions. I think it was on, is that Shock Records?
Yeah.
So you have fucking people going crazy with 18,000 versions of this.
Like, why Australia? Was that like I wonder if that's a distribution thing through their new label that they...
And they just started touring there? Like maybe they just...
Yeah, I guess they're...
the old like...
Well, that's our Australian friends we found from the Pendulum season.
Let us know. Maybe they just... Is it easier there? Is it... Yeah, I don't know. Like, you only have so many places to go, like UK, Europe,
I want a
Russia,
Japanese Obi strip version of the Wraith. I need to bootleg that right now.
Go for it. I'll make a T-shirt with like
the Obi strip.
Yeah. I don't know why. There's got to be a reason why Australia is like an easy way to do it. And then we'll get into it as we go along. But there was a vinyl. There was the DVD audio with like the Dolby surround sound.
I want to get the surround sound in the room upstairs, so it's like perfectly set for that, and then get that and just experience it.
Experience it. Then there was a picture disc. There was a die-cut vinyl.
Yeah.
We'll get into all those later because they are very specific to each song.
Yeah.
So just to let you know that before and during the Wraith, lots and lots of audio goodness to physically get your hands on.
They definitely were putting in the work to try to make this their biggest release up until that point, I'd say.
Which is crazy because Malenko was huge.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons.
Right.
Jekyll came right behind it with, what was that, 4th on
that debuted pretty
charts. High. And those all went, platinum and gold. So it took time, but they did.
Yeah.
So you would think this would go right along with it. And we'll talk about if it did. Stay tuned.
A little teaser.
Yeah. So that's leading up to the Wraith.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everything about said CD without actually talking about the music. Do you have anything else that we have to touch on?
I could mention here, I have a couple of notes from their website regarding switching from Island to their new label for...
Oh, yeah, because what did this actually come out on?
Red Distribution. It was a Sony,
conglomerate. Right.
So the first announcement about them leaving Island I have here, it says, well, every year, record labels have to renew their contracts in a way with all the artists on their label. And since ICP is so underground and down in the dumps in Island's eyes, they forgot to renew our contract. So ICP is off Island Records and are signing right now with none other than Atlantic Records. And guess who's back in the 6 Jokers card? Julian Raymond, the Hollywood Juggalo himself. He quit Hollywood and went to Atlantic, where ICP is signing. The 6th card will be released sometime in 2022, and soon after, the Carnival is coming. So this post was from like 2001 or something. They obviously don't go to Atlantic, so I don't know where they...
Yeah, is that like a offshoot of that for some reason?
I thought Red Distribution was Sony. You do that research while I read to you their announcement about... Yeah, here it is. Sony's independent distribution arm, so you don't have to do it.
All right.
It says, we have just closed a deal with Red, Sony's independent distribution arm, to distribute the entire current catalog. Okay, why are you telling me this? You ask. Well, have you ever had a problem getting some of the new dope-ass records, such as Jumpsteady's Chaos Theory or Hatchet History, 10 Years of Terror? Are you out in Canada somewhere and cannot find Twisted's Mirror Mirror? Well, this deal with Red Music will change all of that. Now, when you say an album will be in stores everywhere, it will actually be in stores everywhere and not get lost in the shuffle. You'll be able to pick up the Psychopathic releases in many more stores, including stores north of the border. Yes, that means Canada. So they push Canada so far, not Australia. All right. This new deal makes
all of the old British strongholds. Talking 200 years later. They're going to the Philippines next.
They got a French-Canadian version of the Wraith out there. says this deal will make it hella easy, but you can also hit up our web store. Then they also mentioned that if any of you cable TV connected juggalos out there have missed ICP music videos for homies, keep an eye on HBO. We'll save that for that.
What?
I just stumbled at the very end there.
HBO?
So I'm saving that note for homies.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
There's no teaser because it didn't happen.
There's a little bit more that they've mentioned.
All right.
That's all. Red distribution.
All right. Well, now we know. Knowing's half the battle.
I feel like I remember when they announced, that was like the post announcement, I remember them talking about going on Red now. I clearly remember them saying Mac 10's on it. Like that was like their pushing point. I swear I thought they were like, yeah, Mac 10's on Red, so like it's legit.
It's gotta be good.
I mean, I love me some Mac 10. The guppies. Dup, dup, dup.
All right. I don't think I have anything else.
Do we discuss? Is this about to discuss the release party?
Fuck.
Is that here,
I guess
or should we save that?
No, that's fine. Because we're talking about leading up to the release of it. So.
Yeah. I have a whole nother post here for that.
Oh my god.
I won't read the whole thing. They mentioned how they have several sites here to get ready for the release party for Psychopathic's 6 Jokers card. The party's going nationwide, so don't you worry, Juggalos. Party will be next to you. It said the CD party. There you go. You should enjoy that. It says the CD release party, not album.
Oh, exactly, because they were selling the CD.
So they said at the party you'll be able
They
to.
weren't selling the CD.
You'll be able to purchase a new album. That's what they say.
Nice.
Blazing hot off the production line, we will be selling all new Hatchet Gear merchandise for the 6 Jokers card. Have a special contest, giveaways, and presents. And best of all, each CD release party will be hosted by a Psychopathic Records guest MC. So they, mentioned to go find them. So would you like me to tell you who said MCs were?
Yes.
And where they are?
Very excited.
So, if you were in Boston, Massachusetts on November 4th at Who's on First?
We don't need to know where it was.
That sounds like a fun place to go. That's where the Insane Clown Posse would have been hosting.
Nice.
And then the next day, they were in L.A. at the Key Club. Both shows were $10.
Boston to L.A.
Yeah.
That's a fun trip.
So I, myself, was here at St. Andrews Hall, Detroit, for the Pajama Jam, whatever the fuck they called it. Twisted were the host MCs there. And the next day, a little short trip down to Peabody's in Cleveland. That's where Twisted was. That show was only $6.
Oh, nice.
And $6, but $9 at the door if you're under 21.
Oh, that's a shame.
The Click in Greensboro, North Carolina was $5 and no guest MCs.
What the
Who went to
fuck?
that?
This is jumping the gun, but if anyone listening to this went to any of these shows and has a story or a ticket stub or a picture or anything, please let us know.
On November 4th at the Expo 5 in Louisville, Kentucky, Esham was the host. And there was a special treat. The Expo 5 is a haunted house open from 2 to 7, so that's a separate event for $6.
Children, get your parents' permission. Those are fun.
The next day at the Emerson Theater in Indianapolis, that's where Esham appeared. Both those shows are $6, by the way.
666.
At the Castle in Las Vegas, Big Blaze was hosting.
Oh, nice.
He was $10.
Future home of the Raiders. That's why he was there.
And then the next day he went to the Gothic in Denver. So they sent him to some nice weather for a little November season.
Oh, sorry, Blaze.
The Metro in Chicago was hosted by Eddie Buddy Killa on November 4th. And then Pops in Saugatuck, Illinois, ABK. So he didn't have to leave the state. He got to hang out in the same state.
Well, it's fucking 7 hours apart, but that's okay.
The Abyss in Virginia Beach. Here's one for you. The host, Zug Island.
Your brother Abyss?
Your brother Abyss.
Zug Island hosted one. Where was that at?
The Abyss in Virginia Beach.
Nice.
And then the next day, on November 5th, they were in Cincinnati at Bogart's. So that one was $10. The one in Virginia was $8.
Should be. Well, there's 5 of them.
I wonder how they were as hosts altogether.
It's probably just Sin fucking blasted.
The Gold Bar, the Gold Star Bar in St. Petersburg, Florida, was hosted by Jumpsteady. And then the next day, he was in the Mason Jar in Phoenix, Arizona. No, I stand corrected. That was November 5th. November 4th. November 5th was Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So Jumpsteady also doesn't have to leave the state.
He's in Florida. Nice.
This one right here, I got confused. One day only, the Mason Jar in Phoenix, Arizona, Big Alex Abyss was hosting.
Nice.
The High Five in Columbus on November 4th was hosted by the Rude Boy with special guest Sabu.
What? Okay.
Well, Sabu can't host. He doesn't talk.
No, I know.
Then November 5th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the Flat Spin was Rude Boy and Sabu. One final party.
Not show.
November 4th at the Canyon Club in Dallas, Texas. And if you had tickets for the Pontiac Grit, they will be honored at this show. So that one was canceled. But this was hosted by Tom Dubb.
Oh my God, Dub.
Can you imagine Tom Dubb hosted release party?
No, I can't.
So my short story for this revolves you.
Yes.
And me and a friend of the pod, Steve, are going, and we kept saying, "You gonna go to the release party?" You're like, "I'm not fucking going to that." And we're like, "It's Twisted. They're gonna do songs, I bet." And they're like, "They clearly said not a concert." I go,
Yes.
"Yeah, but they also said it's up to the MC's discretion to do what they want. Twisted's gonna perform,
Of course
obviously."
they are. Obviously.
So we went, paid our $10. It was sold out. You're like, "This is a sold out crowd. This is gonna be hype."
At St. Andrews?
Yeah,
1,000 people there.
they did. Sold out was not. Sold out to the gills. It was sold out to whatever their tickets were because it was not packed to the gills in there. It was like, remember we went to Shooter and it was like sporadically with Joe Kane?
Yeah,
It was like kind of that full, but it was sold out. Hung around maybe an hour.
Did you buy the CD there? Did I already ask you that?
No, I bought it ahead of time at Rock of Ages, but I did not listen to it till I left that
that's fine.
release
That's
party.
fine.
We'll get to that later.
I just want to know where you purchased it.
Yeah. So we were there hanging out. Twisted came on in the beginning, talked. We're like, okay, introduced, playing music. 20 minutes go by or so. We're like, oh, what the fuck? They come back out, like, okay, here we go. They're going to perform. Made a couple jokes. Monoxide's in his pajamas. I think Madrox was dressed normal. He wasn't involved in the festivities. They leave, like, okay, we'll wait next time they're coming out. Another 20, 30 minutes when they come out. They're, I think, hammered at this point, making jokes. We're like, this is it. They're not performing. Let's get to, like, everyone just slowly trickled out. It was very uneventful.
The uneventful event.
Yeah. And then you're like, I told you so. They always hold us over our heads to this day.
I feel like, and this is where the time frame gets thrown out, there's no way I had a cell phone at that point.
Oh, too, yeah. We might have.
No, I had my first iPhone in like 08, 09.
I thought we had like the little like flip ones too. Like
Did we?
Tiny.
Maybe, because I feel like I was at Great Lakes Crossing with my girlfriend at the time. And you guys were calling me, and Tom and Rex were calling me because I think they didn't know how to get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm confusing that with a different show where he was just asking directions, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, it's not even close. But yeah, you both, two independent groups trying to get me to go, and I'm like, no, it's terrible. It's not going to happen. And I was right.
Yeah. We definitely had phones then, because I remember we were going back to the Sabu seminar. I remember sitting waiting for him to come on and playing Snake on the old like flip phone. So there was rudimentary text messages, I'm sure, going back
Nokia,
and forth. Yeah.
whatever. We're fucking T9 in it.
I think I went back, we went to a party or something, and then I threw on my headphones in the dark and listened to the Wraith the first time. I pulled a rock here. Feel the goosebumps.
I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but that's what they said leading up to it. That you had to listen to it on your headphones to absorb
in the dark
everything.
And Jay mentioned this a few times that he wants everyone to listen to it front to back. Like he has, because they put out the singles online. We'll get to that when we do those songs. There's individual singles leading up to this, and they released them. He said, "Don't judge on these because we want it to be a full, comprehensive like listen." Yeah, so I definitely bought in. Listen, I bought it early, but did not open it and listen to it till the day of.
Good for you. I'm pretty sure I listened to it early.
You definitely did, because you made fun of me then. You make fun of me now for
because we talked about it at Halloween that year.
Yeah,
because it would have come out like 5 days after Halloween.
Yeah, you're right.
And I definitely heard it before Halloween.
Yeah, I think that was the first time we discussed it. I'm like, I didn't hear it yet. You're like, you bought it? Yeah.
What an asshole. Maybe, did I buy it and not listen to it? There's no way.
No, because you made fun of us.
Okay.
No, me. I think Steve listened to it too and made fun of me.
Good. You deserve it. You guys came over to my house, and we drove from there. That I remember.
For Hallowicked.
O2.
O2. That was the Royal Oak double deal. I do remember that.
Those are good times.
Yeah. I remember being like warmer than usual for October is always a coin flip. It's either gonna be like winter or summer, and I feel like it was like super because people were eating outside and like looking at everyone.
A handful of Hallowickeds where I remember like really bad weather. So if it wasn't, I just assumed
this year
it
was fucking cold.
Yeah,
it was snowing.
It wasn't that bad.
It was bad.
Well, now we're in the middle of the fucking sub-zero temperatures.
It wasn't
for the
this,
past
but it
week
was
or two.
bad. It was snowing. I didn't bring a coat, so walking like 3 blocks, like.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. No, I think you're over-exaggerating.
No, I'll call Greg right now.
I don't think any of us wore coats, and we parked way far away, and we were fine.
I was chilly boy, shivering.
I had to carry one of our people back to the car. So I don't think I would have done that in the freezing cold. Anywho, I'm just looking at the vinyl here on the table. There's one thing I want to get into, but I think we'll wait until the first episode for that.
Okay.
Because it's pertinent to the song.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you want to talk about it now.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
The different. We can cut I'll cut it on mine. You can decide if you want to cut it there. How they do thy for everything instead of the.
Yeah, we could just cover it then, right?
For walking to the light.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Again, I'm sure there's a ton more that we can talk about because there's going to be stories. There's going to be man. You know what we didn't even talk about? Well, it's because after the CD came out, is the Diamonds Raining tour.
Yeah.
There's the Wraith tour.
Tours are all wrap up, I'd say, right?
Yeah, which is crazy because that technically came out afterwards.
Yeah.
So the CD already came out and those were after, but those stories may pop up throughout the season. Like there's so much here.
Like I said, the Purple Show has stuff, but like that's specific to the homies video shoot and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the clip talk about the Pajama Jam release party. We could bust that. But yeah, for coming from the Pendulum season, we're like, man, we're covering a lot of stuff because it's going over 2 years. There's a lot of stuff in just this album that's going to be digged in deep that I'm sure is going to spur other stories and things of that nature.
We have to remember, now we're used to that giant 2-year timeline.
Yeah.
Now we're back to, there's a specific era, but we have 17 weeks to talk about it.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, there's 17 episodes.
That's right.
Maybe we'll have a little extra stuff.
Yeah.
You never know. All right. So we're going to save all that. There's some other goodies, but we'll sprinkle those through the whole year. You ready to start wrapping this boy up?
Yeah. I think we laid a good groundwork. We got the book down, and now the little Wraith's going to come floating out of it.
Those little non-feet.
We told everyone it was all going to be explained in the book. They thought it was the Green Book, but it's the Wraith book.
The Wraith does have a little book. His little feetsies.
You got to get the book tattoo if I get the bird tattoo this season.
We'll all just get different little pieces. All right. Well, if we do that and we get little tattoos, you know where people are going to see it?
That's right.
On all of our social medias.
Good.
We're
Good
talking
segue.
Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all that fun shit. It's all at Juggalo RWD. Instagram's the main one. That's where we have the most fun.
Yeah.
So check us out on all of those. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Just please. It's easy. We're asking.
You sound like Jeb Bush when he made that line. He goes, "Please clap, please."
It's very easy. It helps us. All you have to do is hit the little review button. I know how many people listen to this every week, and I know how many reviews we have. So
I know Apple's a little bit more work. You got to write something. But I tell you what, if you're listening on Spotify and you're on your phone, all you got to do is tap a star. You go to the main page and you tap the star. That's as easy as it can be.
You can do the 5 stars on Apple. You don't have to write anything.
That's true.
So do that.
So fuck you. You're being so lazy.
You're lazy, selfish
So
piece
you
of
should
shit.
write one. If you're going to be that lazy, fucking write one then.
I agree.
You piece of shit.
And if it's not going to be 5 stars, keep it to yourself. Stop. We're done with that.
I missed it.
So, subscribing also gets us in your inbox every Thursday morning.
Yep.
So you don't have to come find us. We come find you. As we said earlier, share with a friend, new, old, or former Juggalos. Get this in their ears.
Yeah.
We've had numerous instances of people sharing with friends and them becoming loyal listeners. So.
You know what's fun is rekindling someone's interest. We had a few people say that, like, listening to it got them, like, listening to it again. And that's the fucking coolest part about it is, like, rekindling someone's old listening habits.
I don't know how far our boy Nick Howard is, but I know that he's digging through, and I know he's nostalgic. So this season will be right up his alley.
Sure.
So right in his wheelhouse. Where can you listen? All the same places you can listen to every podcast. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast, Podbean, and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget to check us out on YouTube and what do you call it? Subscribe there as well.
Leave a comment. I always like that. Someone pops in with a little comment here and there.
Comments are fun. Going back real quick, if you listen on Spotify, each episode should have a little Q&A and a poll. Yeah. So if you listen on there, go to the specific page, check that out. 2 ways to comment. Mm-hmm. 2 ways to contact us. You can also, wow, I'm all over the place already.
You need some of this?
I may. Email us, juggalorwd@gmail.com, or call us or text us, 810-666-1570. That's the old voicemail, and maybe you'll hear yourself on a future episode.
I mean, for sure, call, leave some stories. This week, if you're at any of those release parties, give us those stories, because that's what we want to hear. We want to hear the experience. If you're at any of these release parties, how was Tom Dubb as a host?
I'm dying to know.
How was Alex Abyss smoking a big old cigar, I bet, on stage?
100%.
Yeah. So any of those, bring them to us. You might wind up in the opener. You might wind up in the wrap-up. But, yeah, send us your stories. That's the best.
Now I'm going through just looking at our voicemails to see if we had any in the middle of the season. I think we may have a couple that we could have done. Shit, we have one that I will get to. Fuck, we probably should have done it here, but we'll get to that eventually. As we said, calls, voicemails, texts, emails, we'll try to get to at the end of the year at the wrap-up show or throughout the year as we see fit. Website, still not...
Still 20 by 20 apparel.
Yes, so...
It's on my checklist to fix. I don't know what the fuck happened.
You can try juggalorewind.com, but we'll see how that goes. Check out all the other podcasts in the underground podcast community. We're talking ICP with a We, branded as Twisted with Us, who is taking a quick little break.
Yeah.
Juggalo Judgment's taking a little break.
Do you got a spoiler? Do you know what they're going to turn into? You know, guys, I'm not telling you to say it here, but curious if you know what they're next.
I assume they're just continuing with Twisted.
Oh, yeah, they did say that, didn't they?
I think they just ended their psychopathic run, and then they're going to continue on.
Oh, fuck. I got excited. I thought it was going to be, as you said, the misery season. The 2-episode misery season.
It'll be an awesome season. Misery con nosotros.
Yes.
And then you have the underground table as well.
Who just did a little year-end deal, right?
Yes. I didn't know one fucking thing that they talked about.
I wish I was on there. Just, throw mine out there so you could shit on those too.
I've been listening to your playlist.
I did catch you earlier today on there.
There's one that I'm on right now that I'm like, I don't get this.
Yeah.
Everything up to that was fine, but that I'm like, I'm over this one in particular. But that's okay. Our wrestling nonsense, 20 by 20 apparel and 20 by 20 pod. Yeah. There's still people fucking downloading that.
That's awesome.
I just looked today and there was like 3 downloads this week. Yeah. And I'm like, what? Who's downloading this? So
people getting ready for the Hall of Fame, maybe. We had some good classes. we should dust that one off, bring old cousin Aaron back for the Hall of Fame. Because God, he was into those.
We should. I'm not opposed to doing any of those. So if you're into wrestling, I don't know if we have the links in our thing, but yeah, check out 20 by 20 apparel and 20 by 20 pod. And then we also don't do a good enough job in this. We talk about it in the liner notes, But thank you to Steve for giving us his music. And for Christmas, we're doing the voiceover work.
Steve got Beats, I believe, his Bandcamp, dropping a new Punchki tape soon. I'm working on the artwork for that, so get it March. You'll be seeing that.
I'm sure we'll be posting that, and we'll have it everywhere. Also, everything that we just talked about was most likely in the liner notes or in our link tree. So if you forgot any of it, just find us somewhere.
Yeah.
Just remember one place, and it'll all be there.
That's right. Just hit in the old Google machine.
It'll all be explained in the link tree. All right. I think that's it. That's episode 0.
That was fun. I'm excited.
We're getting ready for the Wraith. Do we have to say Shangri-La?
It's true. It is the Wraith exhibit of Shangri-La. I like when it's described as that.
Yes. He reaches out his hand. Here we go.
We didn't talk about that. The hand being the hand from Limp Bizkit's fucking album.
That's not real.
It's 100% the same thing traced.
It
is. Pull it up. It's the exact same hand.
You know what we didn't talk about was the thingamajig. The graffiti.
Oh, God, yeah. Man.
Fuck me. Do we have to talk about that now?
We'll save that. Yeah. We already did our wrap-up. We can't just plug in a little segment at the end.
I don't know. It's a big deal. I never got
it's gone.
It is. I never got my picture with it.
I didn't either. I got a picture of Aaron. A bunch of pictures of Aaron posing in front of him with the 20x20 shirts.
We'll have to start putting those pictures up.
Yeah. I do have just a clear shot of just the artwork, so I'll share that. Too.
And there's some older ones where you can see...
Yeah, because the ground built up on it.
Yeah. So there's different... Or the wand got covered up.
Yeah.
So like that fucking Vlasic pickle.
Yeah. Me and Aaron said, and like, that should have been a historical monument. They should have fucking put a plaque in front of it.
I can't believe it lasted that long.
Yeah. It's wild.
So
that's the fuck we did this for. Should we talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the book, right? It
is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking now 30 years ago, so early 90s.
Yeah.
Shaggy was known, quote unquote, known for his graffiti in the city. I say that like he's a real fucking... He's just... We know that he did it.
Yeah, he did some graffiti, but like this is probably the biggest one that was...
I would assume
like you said, it was there forever. And so the spot it is, if you're not locally here, cleaned up. They left all the graffiti, but they made a bike path and stuff. So it was super nice, like lighting, all this. Yeah. People would ride their bikes, walk in.
Currently, it's called the DeQuinder Cut.
Yes. Yeah, so that artwork stayed there forever. All these people are coming by and like, man, that's Juggalo history on this wall. Yeah. Like, it's kind of wild. Go on.
No, I was waiting for you.
No, yeah. But it's, God, you said way before the Wraith. Early iteration of the Wraith. Like,
yeah, we're talking fucking 15, 20 years before the Wraith, right?
And that's something we'll have to dig into. Was it ever explained of like how they took that
tied together?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Not that I'm aware of, but I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously that's what it turned into, but like, they would give you the kayfabe answer, but like, it was always there. The Dark Carnival was with us from the beginning, and we knew that was going to be the 6th. But, awesome artwork.
Yeah, except he just had a wand with a little star on it.
Yeah. He had little eyes, too.
You know what we didn't talk about is that, do you remember how they always, the rumor of the Wraith was going to be a mirror?
Yeah.
And then when this came out, I thought maybe like the face, how it's like the open black, that would be the mirror. Right. So you could literally like see yourself in his face.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't discuss that at all.
We didn't discuss how the Wraith is like the Grim Reaper?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we touched on how the Joker cards were all, telling us. But they're all characters, and the final one is death. And here he is, and he's showing you heaven in this exhibit.
I think that comes up in the intro of the first song.
Yeah, so I think that's more so.
We'll do that during the...
Yeah, I think as we dig through the tracks, you'll get the character arc.
Which is weird because his song is at the very end. But that's fine.
He has a purpose.
That's the Ringmaster, and his song is also at the end.
He had a purpose last season.
It's an MVP. All right. This is enough.
Yeah, we're going to keep that thing. There's so much here. We got to save it for the season.
Yeah, we can just keep going and going, but there's so much about the Wraith. We will save it.
Yeah.
So, until next Thursday, we will see you for something
Yes.
later.
Down the road.
Goodbye. All music played in this episode and in this entire season is owned by the respective publishers and copyright holders, and is reproduced for review purposes only under fair use.
Every good idea we ever had, every really bomb-ass idea we had, we said, nah, we'll save that for the 6th.
UPC. This show is a member of the Underground Podcast community.